The federal government has agreed to pay $88 million to settle a case brought by the families and survivors of the Charleston Church shooting back in 2015. The settlement comes after lawsuits filed by the victims and their families, which allege that the FBI was negligent when performing a background check on the shooter in that horrible attack. He was found guilty in federal court after murdering 9 black people in that 2015 attack and was sentenced to death. Joining me now for more on this is Reverend Anthony Thompson, whose wife was killed in that attack, and his lawyer, Mullins McLeod. Thank you both for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And I will say that even this many years later, I know that the pain is still there and the feelings are still raw. So again, we really appreciate you being here. Reverend Thompson, let me start with you. Your wife was at a Bible study when she was murdered in that shooting. So what does this settlement mean to you, and what was your reaction to the hearing that news yesterday?
Well, I'd like to thank you for having us this morning. However, I'm really satisfied with my attorney, Mr. McLeod, has done, and his associates has brought conclusion to the tragedy in my life. It's been a long and tedious road, and a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. It's been hard trying to move my life forward because of all the legalities involved and having to appear in court many times, having to send pictures and just revisit this whole situation time after time. However, I'm very satisfied with the decision of the Department of Justice. They were fair and they were speedily in making this happen. And I'm just looking forward now to really moving on with my life, beginning a new life. And I give all the thanks and all the glory to the Lord God himself.
We're definitely praying that you can do that. And Mr. McLeod, how about you? As an attorney, tell us about the background of this settlement and what it means after such a long fight, both legally and emotionally.
Well, you know, from a legal standpoint, there were enough legal issues in this case. You could teach 3 years worth of law school classes on it. But I think overall, the most important thing is that the FBI made errors and mistakes in the background check that led to Dylann Roof being able to purchase a firearm that he was not legally allowed to carry. And because of that, 9 parishioners of Mother Emanuel lost their lives. And I think the much bigger picture message from all of this is that, you know, unfortunately in America, African Americans have not always experienced equal justice in our courts. In this settlement, where the defendant is the most powerful nation on earth, sends I think, a powerful message that, you know, justice does exist. And I think that the way that these families conducted themselves in the wake of the shooting, you know, this town did not riot. People walked in unity across the Cooper River Bridge. And a lot of that was due to the leadership of Reverend Thompson and the other victims at Mother Emanuel. I mean, for example, I don't know if you recall, when Dylann Roof appeared at his bond hearing, it was televised on national TV, and the judge asked Reverend Thompson if he had anything to say, and Reverend Thompson stepped into the well, and he told Dylann Roof that he forgave him. And I think that that faith and that belief is what led to justice. They never demanded justice. They believed it would happen. It took longer than any of us wanted, but in the end, justice is always on time.
And Reverend Thompson, we heard there from your attorney saying how powerful the federal government is. For so long, families have alleged that the FBI was negligent when performing a background check on that shooter. And even with the $88 million, as Mr. McLeod said when explaining the settlement yesterday, there is no admission of fault, and it does not change the existing landscape. So, Reverend, ultimately, what does the settlement show about the FBI in your eyes?
Well, to begin with, when this tragedy initially happened, Director Comey, he did call and he apologized and he told each family member that the FBI were responsible for what happened. And after that, you know, like I explained to you, like I said before, speaking with Attorney General Garland yesterday and his staff, they admitted they're wrong and they acknowledged they're wrong and they apologized to us and they showed us passion, and personal concern. And so I'm satisfied with their decision, and I'm sure that from this point on, not only have we received justice, but other people who will encounter difficulties and tragedies like ours, if the federal government have anything to do with it, I'm sure that they will acknowledge and recognize the same. As a matter of fact, we were told that yesterday. So, I'm satisfied.
And Mr. McLeod, what changes have been made as we talk about the FBI's negligence here since that shooting in 2015? What changes? How has this changed how the FBI operates, and how are they vigilant when it comes to those background checks?
Well, in this case, the settlement has nothing to do with a change in the law. The law still remains the same, the Brady Act and the regulations that implement it. There was a ruling in this case, however, that before the settlement was affected by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is one step below the United States Supreme Court. And the Fourth Circuit, in essence, said that the FBI could be held legally responsible for its mistakes. Another way of saying that is the government did not have immunity in this circumstance for this mistake. And I think that from a responsibility and accountability standpoint is an important ruling that will have an impact across all the circuits in the country. And the reality of it is the FBI does their job extremely well. Their efficacy rate in these background checks is quite frankly amazing. In this case, however, mistakes were made. And I think the legal rulings that led up to the settlement will help ensure that mistakes are not made in the future.
Reverend Thompson, I want to give you the last word here. As Mullins mentioned, you have said that you've chosen to privately and publicly forgive the shooter behind this racially motivated attack, which is something that many in the church and community still struggle to understand. So how has that forgiveness enabled the community to really come together there?
Well, the community of Charleston, as you know, if you want to go back in history, they have a history of slavery here for at least 2 years. And even in my lifetime, we've experienced, discrimination, racism on the job and in the schools. And so being that we are hospitable people in Charleston, there was this underlying tone of racism for a long time. For some reason, after the tragedy at Emmanuel AME Church, and we expressed our forgiveness, the family members expressed their forgiveness, there was a change. Our community came together. As Attorney McLeod said, we stretched across the Ravenel Bridge hand in hand, trying to figure out just what we can do to make things different in Charleston. Right now, things are happening in Charleston, in reference to change hearts and change attitudes. We're reaching across cultural barriers, denominational barriers, and we started all these things with the church taking the lead. And so there are a lot of things going on in Charleston now that are much different than when Charleston was before the tragedy.
Reverend and Mr. Mullins McLeod there, I really appreciate your time. Full disclosure, I am from upstate South Carolina and born and raised there, and I am very familiar with Mother Emanuel. In fact, that was my first assignment here at ABC News back in 2015. I just want to say that my hearts still go out to you today and your community. I love the city of Charleston. I love Mother Emanuel as well. And I just want to say thank you again, and we're always praying for you.
You're welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.